Welcome back to Pixel Storytime Part 2. I don't know what happened to my last video. I am recording this on a completely different day because my last video that I recorded with Part 1 and Part 2 broke. So we're going to try again, and I hope it maintains the flow. But as you remember, in my last video, Part 1, I ended with talking about how key man insurance policies are really in place to protect partners and the business. And what I mean by that is if something happens to one of your partners, it allows you to have the funds available to put somebody in that position while you figure everything else out. When something happens to one of your partners is a very stressful time on a lot of different levels. So this kind of relieves that stress a little bit and allows the wheels of progress to continue rolling, as they say. So in this case, it's very strange because my client is a single member LLC. He has no partners. So while the business is the beneficiary, essentially he is his own beneficiary. So if something happens to him, who's really benefiting from that? And I have some opinions about that I am talking about in Part 3, but that is something that's very strange about this case, is that you wouldn't typically see or ever see a single member LLC or just a solely owned business have a key man life insurance policy. So it's a little weird. Now, when I started this video series, the one thing I started with was, this is just another example of why advisors and tax professionals and clients should all be talking. And I can tell you that in this case, as opposed to some other cases I may have talked about, the client is actually very good about that and made sure that his tax professional, his CPA, was talking to the advisor when she discovered this situation. Now, he had a different CPA at the time when this first started, and she's getting ready to retire, which is why he's my client now. She happens to be a friend of mine, and she and I were talking about the conversation that she had with the advisor and how combative he got when she didn't agree with him. Now, he sent her this email that didn't really make any sense, at least not for tax purposes, and ultimately just really came across as a bully. And based on the way I'm reading the emails, it seems he has a history of bullying CPAs into doing what he wants them to do. And I'm going to talk in Part 3 about why I think that is. But in this case, in the end, she ultimately decided that she didn't have enough information to really make the decision for the client. So she let the client make the decision, making sure that the client understood that no matter what happened, he was ultimately responsible for those choices, which I understand why she went that direction, and she was not wrong in this case. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about what the actual issue there was.